The ongoing challenges faced by the utility company NVGEBE, I'll be able to provide you with information on several of these matters. And as we dive into this issue, Mr. Chairman, members of Parliament, we must all remember that clarity and collaboration will pave the best way forward for all concerned. GEBE for decades has been an institution that we've all relied upon, an entity that literally powers our homes and businesses and supports our daily lives. The past 12 months have tested the relationship with this company that we rely on. For some of us, it has stretched our patience. GEBE and the shareholder is fully aware of this. It is helpful as I provide you with this information to also provide context to the situation we find ourselves in. In March of 2022, NVGB fell victim to a and the scope and severity surpassed the initial understanding of the company. The consequences of this hack have been felt throughout our community. It has affected the core administrative functions of the company, of NVGEB. NVGB relies on the SAP system for the company's administrative operations. Specifically, invoicing and billing are dependent on said system, which stands for Systems, Applications, and Products in Data Processing. This is a comprehensive enterprise resource planning ERP software system that organizations use to manage various business operations. GB's day-to-day business processes, including functions like financial accounting, human resource management, sales, distribution, use this system. Importantly, this platform is where the departments and functions within GB also share data. Therein, Mr. Chairman, lies the problem. The hack encrypted data that was lost to GB. The loss of this data posed a technical challenge for the company and disrupted the trust and operations of the company all of us depend on. The task of restoration and rebuilding, as daunting as it was, became the priority. At the start, previous management tried to restore the system, and the shareholder was informed that the processes were in place to resume billing. Unfortunately, we learned 6 months after the hack that the optimism was misplaced. Incorrect bills were distributed, complaints were registered, and the company was not making the promised progress. The shareholder was told at the time that the system was 75% restored. Unfortunately, that was also not accurate. Moreover, NVGB had not been meeting its obligations to vendors, and one of the largest, Sol, at the time, placed a lien on the company's accounts due to non-payment of fuel bills. At this point, the shareholder put a special representative in charge, and assessments of the situation started. I won't dwell on the past, but I must say that the situation was much worse than initially feared. In September of 2022, when the special rep took charge, GEBE was actually billing less than 15% of the customers, and the company's financial situation was dire. The first order of business was improving the financial health of the company. The crisis team could do so by the end of the year. GB was not yet out of the woods, though it is stable. Restructuring of the restoration process took time, and by February 2023, internal and external expertise was put in place. A manual process had to be adopted, and every record had to be recovered, restored, verified, and tested, roughly 43,000 accounts per month. The enormity and the volume of work of a small team of NVGEB at NVGB displaced is a testament to their resilience. Today, though 90% of the lost records dating back to February 2021 have been restored, GEBE still navigates through largely manual processes. This painstaking task requires stringent checks, especially for invoicing and billing. The challenge is complex, not just technological, but human and organizational. This recovery is a journey undertaken by a committed internal team supplemented by experts globally. While commendable that we're finally at 90%, GEBE's response to the crisis was not without missteps. Is it perfect? No. But progress is being made.
Hip hip hooray! The function book is done. Hip hip hooray! Police officers, they get their money. Hip hip hooray! All the nice pictures and everything in the newspaper. They're telling the police officers they gotta wait 10 years now. 10 years. Paid out for them to get their money. And I told them, take your money and take it now. There's this gentleman that delivers water for me often. And he brought a friend and he said, we are not being treated right. I put my life on the line. I defend the people, I fight for people. When bullets are flying that way and everyone is running out, we are running in. He's speaking about what type of insurance do we have? If anything happened to us, what do we get? If they pass away 2 months last salary and that's it? Nothing much. There is something that we don't do enough in this country. And guys, thank police officers for the job that they do. We don't thank them enough. They are underpaid, overworked, and most oftentimes disrespected. It needs to come to an end. I'm saying to the government of St. Martin, pay them and pay them now. And don't wait 2 days or 3 days before election to do like what former minister did. And you should go and do courses to upgrade yourself. Because he applied for the job as CEO. 23 years. Not 10 years. Not 20 years.
So I mean, look at the airport. All the open story for 23 years and nothing. How
St. Martin problems can only be solved by St. Martin people. Nobody from 8,000 miles away. Nobody can come here and tell us what's best for us here. Nobody. I said it earlier now. When a police officer gets shot or die in the line of duty or pass away, he gets 2 months last salary and a wreath. The former director of the hospital had some medical issues. So he resigned from the hospital. And on his way leaving, his package was over $500,000.
Package.
His package. Did I round up the former director of the hospital? He's in the Netherlands. When he put his life on the line for us,
He gets nothing.
he gets 2 months salary and a wreath. How many of we have reached to a stage in our country that all of a sudden we as Martiners ain't no more good? I keep saying it all the time.
Understand?
They ain't we look good. Mr. Franklin, this gentleman right here work and built the airport. Work and built the airport. And all of a sudden, he ain't good enough. He ain't good enough. We have a minister today that worship moving concrete. Moving concrete at the hospital from 5 feet to 7 feet and say we accomplished, we brought it to 4 days.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
Social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emma Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welcalaken Road K Hill from Welcalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
There was a survey done among civil servants. Can you shed light on the outcome of that survey?
As it relates to the survey, as I mentioned before, a task force, a group of civil servants, some 19 of them, took the recommendations. So Department of Personnel Affairs is with its team working on the recommendations to see what can be done. As I mentioned, we have an interim head there as well since the absence of our head of the department. And she's also put forward a list of possible, let's call it quick wins that we can right away execute. Some things will take a longer time to execute because they're legislative, but the acting head has put forward some recommendations. The recommendations in terms of what can be done quicker. The recommendations from the group, the task force that has come forth from the Civil Service Corps, which I highly commend, because we can determine from the head that these are things that needs to be changed. But for change to actually take place, the workforce must be involved. And so they have brought forward recommendations to their colleagues, to middle management, to the SGs, and to us as ministers. And if we all start to work on these points, they had to make presentations to all groups as well. And so hopefully the video in the meantime would have been created. That was the goal, to have it done. I'd have to check with DCOM to see if that was done and finalized to share with the rest of the organization so that each person working for government will see and hear what the recommendations are. They will receive it via the email as well. And then each can then, within their department, start working on the small things that can be done while we as government and the P&O department work on the bigger trajectories. Because with all of us working on it, we will definitely improve some of the challenges we face. We also have discussions ongoing within the technical committee of government, as well as the negotiation team of government and the negotiation team of the civil servants unions to come to agreement on some changes in the legislation that we've been discussing, some for a long time, but we're seeing headway, as well as, of course, the plan forward to get some type of cost of living adjustments within the salaries of civil service. So some of the main challenges that were mentioned were salary, were the ability to move up, evaluations being done consistently, and being stuck in scale. So even that was discussed within the negotiation teams, and possible solutions will be forthcoming. Some immediate and some for the medium and long term. So we will continue to update the civil service, first of all, but also the people of St. Martin as we move forward. And with your indulgence, I'd just like to take another opportunity to wish the police and all other civil servants who function became official as of 10/10/10 a happy 13th anniversary as well. Yes, the Police Week is something that has been celebrated even before they were a sovereign from KPNA. So KPNA used to celebrate Police Week and Police Day, but now many other civil servants also are only in the function for the past 13 years. The function only exists because we attain country status within the kingdom. So congratulations to all of you. And one of the things was mentioned in terms of showing appreciation, though they were grateful for the appreciation being shown from the ministerial level, there was more appreciation required from the department and Secretary General's level. So I encourage each to show appreciation to your staff in the smallest little ways, as a happy workforce is a more effective workforce.
You know, I'm not going to address what's happening in social media too much. But what I am going to address is what's happening now. So the Prime Minister files a complaint, and I understood that complaint was supported by other ministers, and I understand also the leader of the UP. And all of these people got back a letter, personally, and then you hear them talking about that on Facebook. And I'm asking myself, but how is it possible that people can be talking about a letter? And I'm not talking about the Hoover letter yet. I'm talking about the letter the prosecutor personally sent to them. How could the good gentleman have known that? One way only. Those that received it, somebody told him. And then we now go to the public prosecutor's office and we say, oh, we go to a lawyer, oh, make him apologize because it's slander. You know, in my case, back in 2015, I think it was, we were in the courts, and that old yellow journalist, Hilbert Haar, was writing a load of nonsense about us in the newspaper. Things that I have been acquitted for completely today. But I can't do nothing because the newspaper don't exist no more, and he gone hide someplace in some jungle so he could do anything. The judge told us, my wife and I, high trees catch a lot of wind. In other words, when you sit in political positions, expect to be criticized harsher and more, and learn to live with it, because it's part of the business. So, Madam Prime Minister, while I don't agree with all those things that are being said, you better grow up, because it ain't gonna stop. He might stop and then somebody else gonna start. Because nowadays, I have noticed that Facebook is so full of trolls. Like one of your colleague members in the Council of Ministers said, the demon busy letting go a bunch of jackasses. You all let them go. Because you all are creating this scenario. And I am not going to tell him to stop. Because it's amusing to see how this country is reacting. Everybody understand something. Blows going to start to fall and share during campaign. Political realities and even entities are buckling right now, and some are even crumbling. Exposing of politicians has taken a whole new meaning, and nothing seems to be off limits anymore. Who is to blame isn't relevant anymore. What is very relevant will be the serious political damage that is still to be done to many contesting politicians this election. Everyone is for themselves and God will be for us, as they normally say. But this is going to be a rough campaign. This is going to be a rough election. That is clear from now already.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social health insurances.
With you, the new Kentaco. A combination that will surprise the most curious palates. Combining the deliciousness of KFC chicken and the practicality of a taco with a doubly delicious ergonomic shape. Wow! Compatible with all types of bites. New Kentaco. Enjoy a double-breaded chicken breast with our secret recipe. Cheese, lettuce, and tomato. New Kentaco, the innovation that's in everyone's mouth.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Last night, TVJ News broke the news of the arrests in the ongoing investigation involving the disappearance of Sashina Patterson and her 10-month-old child, Sahara Paulwell. The suspects were picked up yesterday and taken into custody last evening. Today, Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey confirmed the arrests.
The quality and potency of the evidence amassed thus far has led us to take into custody 4 persons in relation to this investigation. One of those persons is Miss Lehoda Bradshaw, a 34-year-old petty officer in the U.S. Navy.
Our sources have confirmed that Miss Bradshaw is considered one of the main suspects at this time.
We are looking at a case of kidnapping. We are looking at a case of conspiracy to murder. and other charges that will flow from that. There's a lot of misinformation that is swirling in the public, and we think, in particular with Miss Bradshaw, we have evidence that we could advance a case at this time, but we want to ensure that we cross every T and dot every I. And so there are a number of things that are ongoing, and so we want to ensure that those have come to a conclusion before we proceed with the formal charging of her.
The mother and child were reported missing from their home in Kingston 20 on the 9th of September, almost a month ago.
An update will be provided to the nation through the press.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
First, I want to thank my House Republican colleagues for just designating me as the Speaker. Obviously, we still have work to do. We're going to have to go upstairs on the House floor and resolve this and then get the House opened again. We have a lot of work to do, not just in the House for the people of this country, but we see how dangerous of a world it is and how things can change so quickly. We need to make sure we're sending a message to people all throughout the world that the House is open and doing the people's business, making sure that we're unequivocally standing in our first resolution that we pass under Speaker Steve Scalise will be to make it clear that we stand with Israel. The McCall-Meeks resolution will be our first order of business. But obviously there's a lot more work to do. The conversations we've been having with my colleagues over the last few days leading up to this show that there's a resolve that we need to get back to work. There's a lot of business to take care of. Families are struggling across this country. You know, we passed a lot of legislation to help families get back on track, to address our border crisis, to get our economy moving again, to address the spending in Washington that's driving inflation, high energy costs. All of those bills that we've passed and that we're going to continue to pass that are sitting over in the Senate need to be taken up. We've passed over 70% of the bills to fund the government, dealing with appropriations and setting the priorities of this nation's spending, and the Senate has taken up zero. The Senate has to start doing their work. And by the way, in that legislation, including the State and Foreign Ops Bill, the Defense Appropriations Bill, includes funding for Israel, things like Iron Dome, precision-guided missiles, things that could be used today to help them in this war. So there is a lot to do. I'm also going to be calling on President Biden to sit down and talk about the crisis at the border. As we have an open southern border, and we've seen millions come in the last few years, including people on the terrorist watch list from all over the world,